Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year to you all. Welcome to today's Akashic Tarot reading. But even more than that, I get so excited about also doing the lesson, and it's so fun because all I have to do is consider the lesson I'm going to do and tell the cards to give everybody who's watching a reading. And this reading is appropriate for those of you who tune in. That's how the Akashic records work in all cases. And just as an aside, I'm sorry we can't do individual readings. We have so many viewers and so many responses that we just wouldn't be able to get to all of them. And that's why I tell the cards and the spirit people as well to make sure that we get the reading that is going to be appropriate for all of our viewers and indeed appropriate for our lesson. Now, last week we had a lesson, a very basic, simple lesson in predicting the months to come by using one card for each month. And you can take a look at if you missed last week's session and you would like to look at that, it's a very simple, you lay out the cards 1 month at a time in a straight line, and then you can do it for as many months as you'd like. You can go 18 months into the future or 2 months into the future, and each card is approximately a month. And now, but this lesson 2, and then next week we're actually going to have lesson 3 because you can get more specifics about the predicting the months to come, and by doing various turns of cards and the different types of layouts. And today is a lesson that expounds on the individual card for each month and the coming months. And usually, though I do put the cards horizontally, I pulled these cards for the next 3 months. Okay. Now we're in the middle of January, so this would be half of January and half of February, and then the month after that and the month after that. We can just call this January, February, March. Let's just do that to make that easier. Okay, and so this again takes us to our simple one card read for each of the coming months. So in January, if we take a look at January, we get the Akashic Field. And the Akashic Field is the first card of forces because it involves every single force here. That's why we have the Aurora Borealis. It's the power that you see above that is also extant within. And so we know that in January, there's going to be a focus on power and strength. And what kind of power we don't yet know. We certainly have the opportunity to tap the power of our higher selves and the divine within. But we will find out more specifics, and that's what this lesson is about, getting more specific in our projections of the upcoming months in our predictions. Okay, so we'll take a look at that in a minute, but we know that a focus in January, and this is true for all of you watching, will be tapping your powers, okay? All right, and now we have February here, the Buddha prepares. And this is a picture of the Buddha meditating, all of his followers meditating behind him, waiting for him to find himself in a state of standing and moving out of his meditation and sharing with the others. So this actually people can get this certainly when there is an internal preparation for an outer project. That happens, and that project does not have to be spiritual. It could be a work-related project. It could be a relationship project. It could be a personal project, but it does often include spiritual projects. So that's what this card is about, is having an inner preparation, but knowing that the time, that we are on the cusp of the time when we are going to be taken outside of that inner preparatory work and step into an expression of ourself, not just to one person, but to many people, and indeed even perhaps to make an impact upon community. So this shows us that in February, there's a preparation, and it's for something to come. And yet we don't know about that yet, do we? No. Okay. So that's why last week we showed you the very most basic, simple prediction of the months to come. Each card shows us one focus for the month. Okay. So now let's move into March. This is the card called Reflection, and you can see the boat is reflected on the water, the lights, the full moon, and of course, at its most mundane level, this card can be a card of travel, because of course it's the boat upon the lake. But beyond that, it's also a card of understanding the inner self, being aware of one's motives, one's interior life, one's what propels us to the outside. And when the reflection card is reversed, you see the moon is full here, and the moon is an indicator of our reflective side, our intuitive side, and our psychic side. And water, of course, even all the way back in this world of psychology to Jung, and indeed back into Freud, water is indicative of the body of emotions. So when the reflection card comes upside down, it's the emotional energy washing over our ability to stay psychic, stay intuitive. It's not that we lose our intuitive faculties, but rather that astral energy that we use to be intuitive actually tends to get poured more into the emotional experience. So March could be an emotional time for us. And that's what this one card that predicts the upcoming month is telling us. We need to be aware to stay on top of our intuitive, reflective side rather than get washed over by our emotions in the coming month of March. Now, that's what we would have if we were to do the one card spread. Be aware that power is going to be your focus. Know that preparation for some important project or some ability to express yourself outwardly in February, and then an emotional upheaval may be too strong a word, maybe an emotional, and imbalance certainly is too strong a word, an emotional focus over and above the intuitive one. So let's go on to our continued reading, and everybody that's reading this, including for me, by the way, I can have a sense of what's coming here. But now we're going to get into more specifics about each one of these months. And what you do then is add 3 more cards, okay? We'll go through this. I have these all over here for each one, but let's start up top here with January. And the first card that I pulled out for the extension of January is the Ascent card reversed. And then I have the Treasure card, which is actually a picture of the plundered room. But there is the inner treasure, even in spite of the room being plundered. And then the Willow is the last card out, okay? So the Akashic Field told us that in January, we're going to have to focus on our sense of power, our sense of courage, our sense of strength. But with the Ascent card reversed, that's a sense of descent, a sense of a fall, a sense of being in some way not diminished in your experience, but in your sense of height, your sense of confidence and power. And so and that could be because of the loss of something, because the plundered room, the treasured card, indicates that there could be a loss in the personal world here. And that when we get this treasure card, we're more focused on the loss than we are in that beautiful inner treasure that can never be taken away from us. So this actual focus on power could have come through a loss of a position, a loss of a project that we thought we were going to have, a loss of finances, an investment, perhaps even a loss in a relationship or difficulty in a relationship, distancing in a relationship. There's some loss here that makes us feel as if our esteem and our confidence and our ability to move up has been diminished in some way. And what happens then is when we get focused on what's been plundered, what's been taken from our lives, we can either really get focused on loss, 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 or we can recall our inner sense of power. And that indeed is what happens by the last card out here, the Willow card. Because this is the major, this is the first card of focus, and it's a major card of power and energy. It's power in the physical world, but power in the spiritual world too. This is the number 2 of power and forces, the number 2 of forces. This is number 1 of forces. And this is the Willow card. And the Willow card, two in every tarot deck. Are cards of dualities, and the willow tree is a tree that is at one time enormously strong and powerful, but also flexible and bendable. And so that's the duality here. We have to, as we go through these sense of losses, and please understand me, I'm not saying that in January, you're going to be getting a divorce. It can even be minor losses or small setbacks, but that tend to pull us away from our sense of our inner self and our higher self. But this duality card is a wonderful card upright because it says that, and look at all the water running through it. Okay, the water is our emotions, and our emotions actually, if we tap the emotions of the higher self, they can feed our strength, our courage, and our flexibility. If we stay flexible with this loss, we see the fact that it is temporal rather than eternal, and actually, indeed, even very temporary, then we can get back into our power again. So all of these may be attending your experience of January here. Okay, so moving on to March. So here we have the Buddha prepares. There's something coming that we can do some inner preparation for, and that inner preparation can also be research, study, any kind of preparation where we discover what we're looking into so that we can share it with other people, or an inner preparation where we're tapping the powers that be within ourselves so that we can share those powers with others. So let's find out how that's going to manifest in February in this part 2 lesson, predicting the future months. Okay, so the first card we pull out is the Journey card. Love that card, such a pretty card. And then the second card we pull out is the Commitment. And the next card we pull out is the Muse. Okay. So very clearly here, there is a possibility that whatever it is that we're preparing to do, or this outer expression of inner self, could at some point in time take us to much farther distances. And that could be certainly metaphorical, but also actual literal. And so this card of the Journey means that we are going on. This inner preparation requires an inner journey that actually can manifest on in an actual outer movement to different places upon the world. So, but certainly the inner preparation requires an inner journey. And that journey is to take us farther afield to broader horizons in our own experience of what we think ourselves capable, and our experience of how much we feel we can share with the world. Powerful stuff here that you can take your preparation, your inner work to the whole world. This is pretty significant. And so it's telling you that whatever this little project is that you're thinking about certainly may be little at the beginning, but can manifest on a long-term basis in a very broad-reaching way. So remember that we got that. That doesn't mean necessarily that February will be the time when it hits its broad-reaching mark. It means February is when you're going to be doing the prep work and the journeying so that you can start to sow the seeds of this broad reaching and enormous horizon of scope that you can make an impact. Now, I will say we had the commitment card following that, and it's reversed. And that you can, if you can see, there's a beautiful golden light there, and this parchment that says the word contract with flowers, roses around it. It's the one of roses. And of course, anything that we do requires our commitment, and that's why the roses is often the suit of love. It's also the suit of what we love and doing what we love. And if those of you are in astrology, you know that Venus rules love, but it also rules money and beauty. And so there's a reason that there's a book written, and forgive me for forgetting the author, but do what you love and the money will follow, right? But this contract card reversed actually indicates that this project that we're preparing for and making these journeys about, and again, sometimes the journey is literal, sometimes it's literal later, and it's a metaphor now, broadening your horizons in your own work so that you can hit the rest of the world. So anyway, so the commitment card, if there is something that you're working on that you anticipate a contract with in the immediate future, that commitment card reversed actually indicates that that's probably unlikely. Okay, that is not to say, like if you're writing a book or you're going on interviews for jobs or that type of thing, that you're not ever going to have the contract. It's here in this time frame where you're not going to have the contract, okay? But watch what follows it. The Muse card. See this beautiful woman playing the double flute there, and all of the musings. This is your inspiration. Again, we begin and end with inner work, inspiration, in spirit. Inspiration is in being in spirit. And so this card following the lack of contract actually says, do not let yourself think that a lack of a written contract or an advance or money down or an agreement with a company or an agreement with a partner, lack of contract could be also a lack of contract in your relationships. Do not think that the fact that the contract isn't here in this period should stop you from your work, because the muse inspires you. You must continue to pursue this. This actually, the muse following the upside down contract actually tells you, continue to create. Continue to create, because you will be inspired to move forward, to create this impact of reaching the broader horizon with or without the contract you expected now. This contract may not be in time. It might not be even with the same people you're thinking about, but continue to create. The inspiration moves through you, and this card is the card of creation through inspiration, but the fact that it appears after the contract reverse means there are seeds of opportunity for this creation to take form and indeed, again, reach the world. Do not look upon what is just immediately in front of you in February as the result and the long-term answer to this project that you're working on. That's not the case. What you see in February is the preparation. And if you keep your work up, the Muse card says you will be inspired into the future. So very lovely there, very lovely indeed. Excuse me 1 second. Okay, so let's take a look at March. We have the reflection card. We talked about that as a single card. About March may be a time that might be emotional for you. And certainly if there might be some disappointment here or some loss there, that, March itself might have some emotions washing over your intuitive side. And then we added these cards. And again, I want to emphasize to everybody, I do not set these cards up. I tell the cards as I'm shuffling, I need to have the reading for everyone that's going to be watching this week. Okay, so after the reflection card, we have the card of the reflection reverse card. We have the card of Sangha, the community. And this is your support system. Okay, so it's very important to understand that while you're having this difficulty with your reflective side kind of being overrun, shall we say, by an emotional experience, there are people to whom you can go, with whom you can speak, and with whom you can share any challenges that you might have in the community here. And indeed, they can bring you strength, because we actually have the card Caught in the Ruins reversed here. And that reversal is, you can see the two people. This is an old ruined castle, in a prison in an old ruined castle, and the roof is gone, the sides are only partially up, and the two people are sitting in there with the gate closed, with the iron bars closed. And with that card upside down, it's a card of freedom. You're no longer caught in the ruins. The ruins you can put behind you. You can move forward into the green grass of the forest and put the ruins behind you. And it's with the support of some of your friends, your spiritual group, your psychological group, even family members, church clubs. There's somebody around you who can help this distortion, help you move through it, and indeed get out of the doldrums, and indeed possibly get out specifically of a relationship, of a job, or it may absolutely indicate that you could be leaving a job or relationship, or some kind of partnership or some kind of activity. But it could be just also leaving the negative bars of this emotional distress behind you with the help of these people. So it's a very, very good thing here that's happening in March for you, even though it seems to start out difficult and in somewhat disarray. Now let's take a look at the Two of Scrolls here. The Two of Scrolls is called the Two Worlds. And like I said, every two has a duality within it. And you can see the girl here looking at the fire, and all of her work, all of her spinning and yarn work is about her in the room. And outside this beautiful, outside this window is this beautiful mountain Buddhist monastery. And it's like, there seems to be here in March a challenge for you in choosing to do something that supports, that gives your spirit a voice in the world, and also allows you to bring together the duality of your work. So all of these cards, we didn't know what this was about at first, and we did find out that you can get help and support, and you can leave the schism and the difficulties behind you, even if those are just your psychological and emotional difficulties. But here we are saying, like, even by the end of the month, we're getting a little polarized again. She's looking at the fire in some kind of way of turning her back on the spiritual. Not that that's what you're going to be doing, but there's a polarization here, both in this card and the last card. And so this is maybe a recurring theme for you, or may come up for you when things get their toughest for you. So I want to show you when we end with this and we see this recurring theme, and well, what is that going to be all of March? Or, we're never ever done with our spiritual and emotional and psychological evolution. So to think, okay, I have this karmic lesson in front of me in March, and then by March 30th, I'm over it. That's not how it happens. But at least we can actually get some insight about this if we draw another card, okay? And there we have and that makes perfect sense to me, because here we have the card, the views of the ego, which is the Four of Roses. And it's upside down, which is very good. You can see the man here who's flanked by a woman here and a friend there, and the woman, and one of them can be a partner, one of them could be a lover, one of them could be a friend. But as he looks in the mirror, neither of his other people that are around him, nobody that cares about him, actually gets reflected in the mirror. And isn't it funny? Look at this. I just love the way these cards work, because we have a source of reflection at the beginning and we have a source of reflection at the end of the line. And let's take a look at that. When the views of the ego is reversed, that means all of this duality. Sometimes this is a person in your life who is in their ego and you kind of have to step away from into some degree. But since all of this stuff here is about your own emotional, again, imbalance is too rough of a word. I actually say dis-easement, unease. This is very likely to be the battlement between your ego telling you, oh, we need to make money, but that when I'm not feeling my spiritual experience, I'm not feeling, this job isn't blowing my skirt up, or this relationship doesn't respect me. So you have these conflicts here. But with the views of the ego reversed, that indicates the end of the conflict. And I'll tell you how that is. When the views of the ego is reversed, we see the ego more clearly. And we don't have to put the ego center stage in the mirror and have all of our life be reflected just by what the ego tells us. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about this, because a lot of spiritual teachers will tell you that when the ego starts talking, you got to tell it to shut up. And when the ego tells you this thing or that thing, you have to fight it down or beat it back. And I have to tell you, I'm in disagreement with that approach, because, of course, as long as we're physical, the ego will be a part of our lives. The ego was a part of our birth in the physical world. It's a part of our psyche. Freud called it the executive of the personality. It's how we do commerce with the physical world, how we know to clothe ourselves, feed ourselves, take care of ourselves. It's what we individuate ourselves through. So we need the ego to live. Now, the ego also supports us in creating separation from our spirit. But we don't have to be in battle with the ego all the time. One of the things that we can do when we have a negative thought, or even a self-aggrandizing thought, like, oh, I'm so wonderful, I'm so this, I'm so that, I'm so much better than that person, or I'm so much prettier than that person. And when the ego talks to us or says negative things about us, oh, I hate the way I look, or oh, why can't I get better at my readings, or why can't I make more money, whatever it is that we say negative about ourselves, we don't have to immediately say, oh, or indeed about other people. We just, if you say, oh, look at that person, boy, how could she go out in that kind of dress or whatever? Okay. Every single time we get we hear the voice of the ego, we don't have to put on armor and do battle with it. We will be fighting our duality forever if we do that, or at least forever while we're in a body. But what can happen, and what I would support all of us in doing, is when the ego speaks, hear it and say, oh, wow, I just really felt like I needed to come down on myself right now. I must really need some affection, some love, some compassion. So I'm going to go into my higher self. I'm going to go into my divine soul. And thank you, ego, for pointing that out to me. Thank you, ego, for allowing me to see that at this moment in time, no matter whatever the ego said to induce you to recognize it, at this moment in time, I'm experiencing a sense of lack. And I'm going to fill myself up with the divine force inside me. So God bless you, ego, and you be sure to show me the next time I need to do that again. Then we become comrades with the ego. Then we become, it's kind of funny, the eagle is a bird, and in many tarot decks, the birds are your indicative of the soul, and the ego is, it can be the wings to your flight, not the arbiter of doom and negativity and a lack of your self evolution. So whenever you hear the ego speaking, instead of trying to battle it back and shoot it down, be aware what's happening. Be aware, try to figure out what motivated that thought. But even if you don't understand what motivated that thought at that moment, just take a moment to close your eyes and take a deep breath and say, I tap the eternal, boundless love and power of my soul. And I appreciate the ego for showing that at this moment I was wanting. And that's exactly what I was wanting. So be sure to do that for yourself. But since we get the ego upside down in this reading, we know the answer to deal with all of these situations whenever we get uneasy about our emotions, whenever we're feeling trapped in a mental paradigm or even a situation, whenever we feel polarized between making money and being spiritual. We realize that all of this is the ego's voice to call us back, to call us home. And that's what we're doing here in the month of March. So whatever comes up for you in the month of March, where you feel the ego's voice speaking, allow yourself to know that it's a true and significant and powerful call to your love, to your light, to your power. And isn't that a great thing? And you can have that experience, and you can get support for that experience, and you can do away with all of the other situations in your mind and all the situations that are difficult for you, and you can find an integration between your work and your spirit, because you can call yourself home to the God within, no matter what room you're in, no matter what group you're with, no matter what activity you're doing. You can have your divine spirit present. So there you are, an experience of the next 3 months and extended views. We lay down 3 cards for each month. February feels like it's going to be very busy for you, and really focusing in on your strength for the rest of January is going to be a very strong thing. Again, don't let yourself get lost in any loss. Just tap the power within you. This experience of wonderful creativity, even if it doesn't seem to be manifesting outwardly at this moment in time, make sure that you keep doing it, because there's great journey and great horizons coming to you with this inner work that you do. Know that you will get support, and give yourself the sense of freedom to act in the integration of all of your spiritual work and bringing your spiritual power to your daily work, as your ego actually allows you to be aware when you need to do that. So God bless you, everybody. Thank you for joining us in this extended version. There's yet another way to get more specific about the monthly one card reading for the months to come. And we'll be doing it next week. I don't know. Actually, I have to tell you, I think it'll be on Friday that we'll be putting it up, not on Thursday. So take a look for us on Friday around noon. And it will be lesson number 3 in predicting the months to come with the Akashic Tarot. And you know what, everybody, all of the little things that bother us or that disappoint us, remind yourself that this is just part of the tiny little dance that we do in achieving the great karmic power that we are moving to higher planes. It's that non-abiding nirvana. The Dalai Lama calls it non-abiding nirvana, living in nirvana in the state of heaven, no matter where you are in the physical plane. And we can do that no matter what's happening. And that takes so much of your power and brings it to the outside world as your gift to the world. So do that. Know your grace. Know the heaven you live in. And all these tiny little flies, swat the flies away that bother you, because you're in nirvana, even in this very moment. God bless you, everyone. We'll see you next week.